Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the program manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat, but before we begin, I'd like to quickly review two items: our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. This session is being recorded and will be available on demand through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I'll be sharing the link in the chat for our on-demand content. And if you have not been on a live stream to YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to have access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now, and if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us through social media or on our website. Now let's get started.
Hello, welcome to the AI 900 certification program, Artificial Intelligence Fundamentals by Human in Azure AI. I am Jacqueline Ramos and I am part of Human in Azure AI leadership team. This program was created by the Homemakers Code and the Tech Human community in collaboration with Microsoft experts. It is open to the entire community to learn the fundamentals of artificial intelligence, chatbots, machine learning, and generative AI. The program includes 8 live classes, completely free in English, and required proof of participation at the end of the program. Requirements for proof of attendance. To receive your certificate, follow 2 steps. First, attend the live classes or watch the recordings between May 60 and 29. Second, complete the keynote texts until May 31. A week after the second class, you have access to a quiz to reinforce what you have learned. When did you earn the AI 900 certification? There are additional 30 steps. Complete the Cloud Skills Challenge before May 31. You have access to a free Microsoft Learning Path with hands-on AI labs. The 100 most committed students, you received a voucher for the AI 900 certification free of charge. Good luck with your studies. See you soon.
Hey, all right, everybody. Welcome to this session for Women in Azure AI. Me and Peter welcome everybody for this session on speech and translation services. So once again, I see many comments in the chat window. People are joining in from all over the places. I'm all excited and happy to be here with you all. Today's session is a part of natural language processing on Azure AI Foundry. So me and Peter are happy to share our thoughts, insights, and knowledge with you on how to do speech and translation on this Azure platform. Before we go there, I do want to take a minute to introduce myself. Who am I? Who's talking to you? So I'm Priyanka, and I'm a technical trainer here at Microsoft for a couple of years now. Prior to this as well, I was a technical trainer. Majority of my career has been into training and learning industry, close to 2 decades now. And ever since I jumped onto this data and AI platform, day in, day out is around sharing my knowledge with on these 2 platforms of data and AI. And if I'm not training, you would find me sometimes writing few things, expressing myself on different areas, That's why, uh, that's how I am. And then at times when I get think like, okay, I think it's time for me to um, refresh myself, right? Hit a refresh on myself. That's where I go and do my gardening part. So I love to talk to my plants. I maintain a small little garden at my back, and I'm a strong supporter for environment protection as well. That's mainly me, and I'm here to share my knowledge around speech and translation with you today through this session. Welcoming you all. Here you would find my contact details. Feel free to get connected. We want to continue on this journey even beyond today. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. And as you can see, I'm not alone. I'm joined by my wonderful colleague here, Peter Detender. Peter, tell us something about yourself.
Hey everyone, good morning. Priyanka, thanks for, I would say, joining me here in this session. So I'm Peter de Tender, originally from Belgium, but moved to the Redmond area a bit more than 3 years ago. Same as Priyanka, Microsoft technical trainer for close to 6 years. It's upcoming around summertime. Before I joined Microsoft as a trainer, I did a good mix of training, consulting, cloud architecting out of my own business. And I've been around the industry for close to 30 years now. So I describe myself as moving from like 29 years ago, to be exact, starting as the cabling guy, literally building the physical data centers, and then gradually moving up in the stack, which means nowadays all the way to the other side of the data center, which means cool Copilot and Azure AI technologies. We got our contact details up here. Obviously, we also got moderators, and Priyanka will introduce them in a minute. But I would say don't hesitate reaching out, staying in touch, because that's how we all learn together. So thanks for being here and looking forward to the session.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Peter. I'm so glad to be here with you today. And I'm sure our audiences will have a great time. So thanks again. And let's get to see. Please welcome our awesome moderators here. We are joined by Laura, Camelia, and John Joseph, who are going to moderate the chat for us. They are going to answer some of your questions. So be engaged, ask questions, pour in your thoughts. Let us know how this is going for you. Laura, Camelia, and John Joseph would be there responding to your queries, questions, thoughts, comments. So thank you. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Camelia. And thanks, John, for supporting us on this event here. Awesome. So then, I heard a word about what you might have already seen that quick little note from Jacqueline. These are some of your study resources for AI 900 certification. It's an awesome certification to have with you. I did my AI 900 couple years back. And I'm happy to say that this has helped me a lot in continuing this journey for artificial intelligence on Azure. aka.ms/women in Azure AI. Start here. Yeah, what you see scrolling on your screen is your study path for all the practical stuff, certification of participation, going over the contents. Each step-by-step detail is listed here. So we highly encourage you to go there, read through it, familiarize yourself with the content, and prepare for the exam, right? So, okay, that's for your exam part. And then let's see what's the agenda today. So today we are going to focus mainly on two topics, one of them being Azure AI Foundry. And I'm going to walk you through some of the speech fundamentals. What is the speech service? How does it help? What are some of the scenarios? And I'm going to do a quick demo as well. And then Peter is going to take us through the language translation part. And you're going to see some great examples and demonstrations there. As you can see, he's all excited. Right? Okay,
As
nice.
always.
Right. Okay. Alrighty. Then what we had on the previous session and what have been covered so far, if you had a chance to attend those or maybe watch the videos on demand, because each of those session was recorded on the same URL, you'll find those on demand sessions for you. Um, Previous sessions have talked about all these things: language, key phrase, sentiment, named entity, PII, summary, Q&A, and conversational language understanding. So overall, the last session focused on the language element for the artificial intelligence service on Azure. And this session will continue that journey on artificial intelligence with speech and translator. So that's how the session is planned. Now, talking about speech, right? Um, we all understand that speech is one of the most important aspects, not just on the AI umbrella, but in our day to day lives. And top of it, AI is helping everybody on the planet to achieve more. And no wonder speech is one of the great assistive technologies as well. So, what we have on Azure today are dedicated resources for translation and speech. Many of us come from different backgrounds. Many of us speak different languages. English is not my first language, for example, and may not be yours too. So we want to understand how the AI is going to help us leverage these things to make our life easier and embed that helpful resources in our applications. And for this purpose, we are going to leverage AI Foundry, which gives us access to the two dedicated resources. So I'll go there in a minute or so and show you a couple things. But the speech service is the one which is providing me capabilities on Azure to enable my application with natural sounding voice kind of thing. So you don't have to all the time just read. These days, when you interact with the AI systems, talk about your home automation, talk about your chatbots, your GPS, or your smartphones. All of them are speech enabled, right? They listen to you and they read out for you. So they talk to you, right? And this is where the speech and the translation service comes in picture. And that's why it's important, because we want that conversation to be more user friendly in a more simplified manner. With Azure, we have this set of services called AI Foundry. And this AI Foundry gives me access to multiple artificial intelligence services, as you see here on your screen, including content safety, dark intelligence, face API, and not. But I want to draw your attention to these two, which would be our focus area for this session. So, when you want to work with speech, when you want to give your application the capability to talk, to listen to you, transcribe, or convert to speech, that's the speech service. And Peter is going to take you through the translation part later. Now, when it comes to the speech part, with the AI Foundry, not just not just simply speaking or transcribing what I'm speaking here, but understand that speech recognition and synthesis are two basic features of the speech service. So when it comes to transcribing the voice, transcribing the conversation, and converting into the text part, That's where the speech service helps you do that speech to text capability. So the first part that you're seeing here is essentially what I am speaking, for example, and if you want to have it converted to text, maybe real time, maybe a recording, maybe a batch processing, that's what the speech service would be able to do. That's one aspect to it. Many of the products, many of the applications that we use day in, day out, we have seen this speech to text capabilities on your televisions, on the YouTube shows, on whatnot, right? Even in the language of your own choice. And then the other modality that we have with the speech service is around text to speech, which is the speech synthesis part. So when we are synthesizing the speech, the second aspect here, this would convert your textual information or textual part to the voice format, meaning the speech format in an audible way, in the language of your choice, in the voice of your format, in the accent that you want. So maybe you want a very enthusiastic voice. Maybe you want a very professional tone. Maybe you want a specific accent to work with, right? So that's where the synthesis part comes in picture. So using the text to speech and speech to text are two core features of the speech part on AI Foundry. Now, when we want to do this, or when we want to add this capability to the applications, we want to get started somewhere, right? So, how do I get started with it? On Azure, you do have these two forms of speech to text and text to speech APIs. When I say APIs, this is how it's implemented underneath, but it doesn't have to be a code part all the time. So some of you may be wondering, hey, do I want to be a programmer or should I be a developer to consume these? Well, perfect if you are, but you don't have to all the time. So there are various ways to work with these. Our focus here would be to understand what do these services do for us. So when we are saying speech to text, for example, that speech to text supports text conversion or converting that speech to text very real time. As I speak, it gets converted to text as you upload a video and that or audio, and that speech that you want it to be converted to text, that's what it does for you. And the other modality is with the batch transcription. So maybe you want the whole audio file to be uploaded or a chunk of files to be uploaded, and then you have the need to do the text part from the whole set of batch there. So you could do the real-time transcription, you could do the batch transcription, and of course, when you synthesize the speech, as I was saying a couple minutes back, you could choose the voices of your own choice. There is a whole collection of voices that I'll show you in a minute. And if you go deeper into this, you do have the ability to synthesize your voice, your personal voice, by uploading some of the voice samples. So those are some of the aspects of the speech service. Very commonly, or I should say, the common scenarios where you use the speech services in your most common places, be it your call centers, maybe the captioning that you find in many of the live streams or the recorded videos, the voice assistants when they talk to you like a very human-like conversational part. Those are all using the speech services in one or the other form, right? With Microsoft also uses speech for many scenarios, for captioning in Teams, captioning in Office 365 or whatsoever. But those are some of these scenarios where you use these speech capabilities there, right? All right. So I think I have talked a lot about speech there. Time to show you some good stuff. So I'll start with the AI Foundry here. So let me share my screen quickly. Right. Okay. Let me bring it here on the other screen. So what I'm showing you here is Azure AI Foundry. And as I was mentioning earlier, on Azure AI Foundry, you do have access to some of those artificial intelligence services now categorized as different subsets here. And speech is part of the AI Foundry. So you would be able to find this speech service right here. Right. So when you want to get started with speech, you do want to provision one of these services. And the way to create the speech service would be as simple as creating any other Azure resource. All you have to do is go over these basic metadata pieces, choose a resource group for yourself, choose the region in which you want to deploy this speech resource, give it a name. Maybe I'll say demo resource and a pricing tier. I've already consumed a free pricing tier here, so I don't see the free one anymore. But if you are doing it for the first time, you would see the free tier as well. And then you go ahead and create that speech service, right? So this is going to create the speech resource for you. Um, you there are multiple ways you can work with this. So for now, when I have this speech resource, I'm good to use this on my Azure AI Foundry. So let me take you to the AI Foundry here on the speech playground. Yeah. So when you go to AI Foundry, you would find I do have a couple resources here to work with. This is the Foundry portal, Azure AI Foundry, and I'm onto the speech project at this point. On the left, you would find that there are a couple playgrounds, and each of these playgrounds is your area to work with these services. There is a chat playground, there is an image playground, and so on. Speech is one of those. And since we are focusing on the speech part, and look at this now with the speech, all what I was sharing with you a few minutes back, real-time transcription, fast, batch, speech translation, custom, pronunciation assessment, voice gallery, professional voice, personal voice, and so on. Right? So let me give you a quick sneak peek here. I'm gonna say I want to do some real-time transcription. Let's do this real-time transcription here. And I do have, I do have one web file, which is a call center a conversation, which I want to transcribe to text. So I'm sharing my computer sound here. You should be able to listen and see and notice here on this area how this speech would be converted to text here as the conversation goes on. Right? And then I'll also show you how.
Hello, thank you for calling Contoso. Who am I speaking with today?
Hi, my name is Mary Rondo. I'm trying to enroll myself with Contoso.
Hi, Mary. Are you calling because you need health insurance?
Yes, yeah, I'm
You
calling
want to
to
play
sign up
the
for
entire
insurance.
one, but
Great. If you can
that's
answer a
how
few
you'll be
questions.
able to get the transcription. Let me show you one on my voice as well. So let's record one sample here. Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to this Women in Azure AI session today. How are you feeling today? So you see how, and I'm going to stop this, right? So you see how as I was speaking, this is going to transcribe this for me. And this is the transcripted text here. if you are from the developer background and if you want to build onto this one, you would notice that I do have the JSON output for this. So you could take this JSON and stringify or do whatever you want with this on your development platform. This JSON will have a specific schema to it, doing the duration and offset for each word that I spoke during that conversation. And again, if you want to go and develop on top of this or build on this in the platform of your choice, maybe Visual Studio Code, wherever, you are able to get that code part from here, just kind of starter template to start with, and then build onto this part, right? So real-time transcription is one aspect, but it doesn't stop here. You do have all those different features on the speech part for you to leverage in your applications. Another interesting one I'll show you here is on this voice gallery. So when I was saying maybe you want a professional sounding voice, maybe you want an enthusiastic voice, maybe you want something very formal or exciting, Azure AI Foundry provides you with a gallery of some of these voices. Many of these come in specific tones, formats. You can choose the one that you want to work with, both in the programmatic way or through this portal. So if you want this to be a male adult voice, as for Adam in multilingual support, which is a warm narration, this would sound something like this.
Yes, it is a big achievement to be accepted into the Microsoft Startup programs. The program.
That's how Adam's voice would be. Now, when I go for, let's say, Eva's multilingual female adult voice as in United States, that's
Get crafty with a guide to creative projects and homemade hacks for every occasion. From home decor and fashion to...
So that way you would be having access to multiple voices here. And this is a whole gallery you can leverage or even create your own voice from the voice samples that you have. A very practical example that you may have used at some time. If not, I'm going to show you here. So let's say, being Microsoft, it's leveraging the same service as this. On your Edge browser, we have this, for example, what is speech service? It shows me whatever the web page is, right? And I'm a fan of this service because sometimes when I'm multitasking, I don't want to read through all this one by one or line by line, but I want this to read aloud for me. So I could keep working on what I am working on, and then I can listen parallelly to this certain sections, right? So what you could do, for example, on this one, when you use this Edge browser, use these three little dots and you would see one of the features here called read aloud, right? That's with read aloud, that it leverages the text to speech API and it reads this content for you in the language.
What is the speech service?
Choice in the
Article.
of your choice.
March 10th, 2025.
If you go
3 contributors.
Voice option.
Feedback. In this article.
Be able to adjust the speed.
Speech scenarios.
This
speech capabilities.
Variety of languages.
Fast transcription API.
All those voices.
Delivery and presence.
So maybe you want this to be read.
Show 5 more.
More. The speech service provides speech to text and text to speech capabilities with a speech resource.
Whatever accent.
UCN transcribes speech to text with high accuracy.
This is also leveraging the speech API, this time text to speech part of it. All right. So broadly, this is what we have as speech service. This playground is actually a playground to play around with the different aspects of speech, around pronunciation, around custom, professional voice, personal voice, and whatever is your scenario, maybe for audiobooks, maybe for your chat-based apps, when you want to include speech element to it, use the speech service for the right scenario. So hopefully that gave you an idea about what speech is, how to leverage speech in your scenarios, and how to for you to build on how to work for the speech resource. All right. I will then hand over to Peter here to share a few things around translation.
Awesome stuff. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen.
Sure. All right.
Go. Good. Well, first of all, thanks, Priyanka. I think it's just amazing, like what you showed, even in the browser. Honestly, I didn't. First of all, I didn't know it was there, and next to that, I had no idea there was like, I don't know how many different like languages, dialects you could actually use, and I think it also amazing. And I was trying to follow a little bit on the chat conversations, and it seems like people just love it. One of the feedbacks I picked up is that someone was so excited that it's almost becoming mainstream. Like if you think about the technology itself, like having that speech recognition, right? I think it's nothing really new anymore. But at the same time, if you think about the lower quality from, I mean, not even that long ago, where all the way the technology is today, I think it's just mind-blowing technology. So I'm going to try and move on with, I would say it's partly the same topic, right? Because in the end, it's language, but this time it's about the translation. And obviously, we don't really have a lot of time to go through all the details, but I would say in the end, you can actually bring those two worlds together. Now, the starting point is, what is this translation, right? So on one end, we had Priyanka talking about the Azure AI Foundry, and I'll explain that again a bit later on, what it actually means, because you might go like, wait a minute, I'm familiar with the Azure portal. Not that long ago, the interface might have looked a little bit different. And what's actually happening there? Now, the AI Foundry is, for now, I would say, your go-to place for anything that's like Azure AI services. And Priyanka already showed you, like obviously from the speech integration, the different playgrounds, and I'll walk you through some similar, slightly different demos, how to integrate it with translation. Now, what we're doing is basically deploying our AI Foundry, using it as that management interface, and from there, you're just going to enable the capabilities that you want to use. So the speech to text, text to speech, I hope it's all clear by now. And then the voice translation is yet another capability. Now, the confusing part, and that's why I want to emphasize it, is that you might think like, wait a minute, speech to text, text to speech, kind of clear. But what if I want to like use my voice and have it translated into like a different language? To me, it feels like that's translation. But since it's voice driven, it's part of the speech technology as well. And you might think about, like if you're familiar with Teams, for example, you can actually use the same thing. One of the newer announcements not that long ago was where there is a preview feature that's getting released in the next coming weeks for most Teams customers, I guess, where you can actually use your own native language to have a conversation with someone in a totally different language and having that conversation going on real time. So pretty cool stuff. The part that I'm going to focus on is obviously the translation piece. So what do we need? The starting point is go into the Azure portal, go into Azure AI Foundry, again, your management portal for anything that's Azure AI nowadays, and it's going to give you a couple of options. The first option, pretty straightforward, I guess, pretty basic, is text translation. What you can do there, and obviously I'm going to walk you through some demos, is give me a little snippet of text, which could basically be just one word, maybe a paragraph, maybe a few sentences, and it's going to allow you to real-time translate it in, I think, more than 100 languages. I don't speak all of them, so I'm just going to walk you through some of them where I would say I can at least verify and validate that the translation is quite accurate. Second option is document translation. Because if you think about, like again, more, I don't know, business use cases, right? You might get different documents like legal text. You might get invoices. You might get manuals, maybe from machinery equipment coming in from a foreign country, where you go like, wait a minute, I have no real idea how to use it, right? So instead of you like typing in all those sentences, why not allowing you to upload a full document? So there's support for obviously different document types. The starting point, like HTML, you could basically copy, save a web page, and then copy pasting everything in, or the traditional text files, PDF documents, and similar. And then the last one is what we call personalized translation, or using the official service name, it's called custom. So what we do with custom translation is like, and I'm pretty sure y'all know that example where specific domains, like even taking IT as one of the examples, our language within the IT industry is sometimes so specific. Like one of the challenges that I had being from Belgium, so we have like 3 official languages. So we're speaking Flemish, which is like Dutch from the Netherlands, but kind of similar, but slightly different. Then we have French for the second part of the country, which is close to French from France, no secrets there. And then a small part of the country is also speaking German, where like being a citizen, you're not supposed to really be fluent in all 3 languages, but at least like during your academic school journey, you got to learn all those languages. And then obviously on top of that, we also have English. Now, each and every of those languages have specific terminology for like the IT equipment, and obviously the same in other technical or non-technical domains. So that's where now that personalized translation, or the way Azure calls it, custom translation, allows you to actually not just use like the built-in language backend, but also bringing in your own terminology and actually training the model. And I'll show you some parts of that in once we're at the demo site sequence. So in short, you're going to use the translation. So what we're going to do is moving into Azure AI Foundry, no secrets there. You already saw that, how it works. And then you pick a source language, you pick a target language, you provide a sentence, and it's going to translate it. And you might think like, okay, but why are we like going into that playground? Why it's for you, and try to think of it as like an Azure admin or maybe a developer, right? Where you're going to build that baseline service and you want to run a validation. So I personally like the term playground. And as Priyanka also mentioned, it allows you to just experiment with it, allows you to play with it. So that would be the starting point. And then from there, once you go like, okay, this seems to be working fine, most probably you're going to integrate it into your own applications. And I'm going to show you a quick example how you can actually use it from a coding perspective, not trying to turn you all into developers all of a sudden, but just showing you a bit like how does this look like from like a more real life experience or a real life application instead of just going to that AI Foundry portal. But that's really the starting point. And then again, the integration with speech, not going to share anything more about that anymore. It's the part that Priyanka covered. So that's pretty much it on, I would say, the setting the scene. What kind of service do we need and what are the capabilities? So from here, got a sequence of demos. I'm going to watch over the clock a little bit because after my demos, I got a few closing slides as well. So my starting point here is the Azure portal. Now, interesting enough, a lot has changed literally overnight. Why overnight? You know, this is all live. So we have our Microsoft Build conference going on in Seattle literally this week. And it's typically the go-to week for a lot of changes happening in the Azure platform. So no secrets there. Even for our AI services, quite a lot has changed. Which means is if you looked into the same concepts, like even if you were here in our series last week when our friends talked about the language services, they were using, I would say, a mix between what we now call the classic interface and the new interface. So we're not trying to confuse you, but if you go like, wait a minute, last week in that session, we moved to like a language portal. So now, most obviously, there's going to be a speech portal, there's going to be a translate portal. Why we don't have that anymore? Why? Because it's all centralized in that AI Foundry management portal. Now, there's still a few parts, I would say, that can be used outside of AI Foundry, but it's more on the Azure resource backend. So what I have here is a pre-deployed service. So I would go into my Azure admin portal. I would search for translator, obviously assuming that you know that's kind of service you want to deploy. Like over here, it's going to ask you like where in which Azure region do you want to deploy it? Give me some name. And I came up with the super original PDT Translate because it's my translation engine, right? Now, if I move in from here, again, there's not too much you can manage from within the Azure portal. It's going to recommend you like, hey, go straight to the AI Foundry portal now. Now, before I'm going to do that, I'm going to highlight two other big parts that might be relevant to start interacting with the service. And that's what you see over here. You need an endpoint, what Priyanka explained as making an API call, like again, what your developer / application is going to do. And you also need a key. So that's your secret entrance, you could say, into connecting to that Azure backend service. Now, from here, again, there's not too much we can use anymore. But we can jump to a new approach. Now, why again do I call this the new approach? Because again, from, you could almost say today on, the recommendation is deploy an AI Foundry resource in Azure. And then from there, jump into the AI Foundry portal. And it's just giving you similar capabilities as before. And obviously, if you never used the classic approach, you go like, well, why is this also important? So just trying to help the ones who experimented a little bit with the classic approach and maybe now getting lost or even getting confused, like, oh my God, what happened? We don't have speech anymore. We don't have language anymore. We don't have translation anymore. It's all still there, but it's in a different place now for you to manage. So once you open your Azure AI Foundry, and if you want to skip going through like the Azure admin portal, you can straight go into ai.azure.com. And obviously based on the service that's already deployed, or you can actually deploy them from here if you want, it's going to give you the same capabilities. So I'm going to move into AI services. And this is your interface into the classic services now, where Priyanka talked about speech. And obviously I'm going to focus on language and translation. So once we select it from here, it's basically redirecting to the playgrounds. So we could also go straight into playgrounds and then having this long series of different playgrounds to choose from. So again, just trying to get you a little bit more familiar with, I think, the still pretty new AI Foundry interface. Well, now from there, we can actually start using it. So again, I talked about three different things I want to show you. The straightforward one, I guess, text translation. Give me a little piece of text. I'm going to move it into a different language, doing the same for a full document. And then I'll briefly touch on that custom translation portal as well. So the first option here, text translation. You can specify source languages. And again, I didn't count all of them, but based on the docs, it says more than 100. So I trust it. And I'm going to translate to some other language. Now, we got a few eyes here on the chat. So if you want to validate something, if you go like, oh, can it translate to this kind of language? I would say just participate a bit. More than happy to flip to some different languages. I just rely on you to confirm that the translation is on the spot. Because again, I only speak like 4 languages, right? So I'm going to do, hello, welcome to this session. How are you doing today? And I'm going to translate to Dutch. For now, it comes back. I don't know if anyone from like Belgium or the Netherlands is on the call, so feel free to confirm like this language translation actually works fine. So it says, hallo, welkom bij deze sessie. Hoe gaat het met je vandaag? I would say that's like perfect Dutch translation. We can do the same, moving to, why not, French. And it's going to provide, obviously, a similar kind of translation. Now, I know this is most probably for a lot of you, no rocket science. But again, it's going to validate, like, is this actually working fine? Now, what we can do here is moving into something slightly different, where I could do my hard disk broke down this morning, translating it. And what it's going to do here is now picking up the specific French word for a hard drive. Just to show you that every now and then there might be some like literal translation where now it's literally picking up the more technical term. Any other languages you want me to try out? What's your native language, Priyanka?
I speak Hindi natively.
Oh, let's try that.
Awesome.
There we go. Hindi. Translate.
That's nice. That's nice.
I have no idea what it says.
No, that's perfect. I can tell you.
Oh, there was someone else on chat asking for Hindi. Pretty cool. We got Italian and Persian. Let's see.
Correct.
Let's try Persian.
This is so cool. Nice.
Well, I guess it's accurate. I have no idea. So you might need to confirm if it's actually working fine. Cool. From here, there's a few advanced options you can use, like what is the text type? So again, using text input, using HTML. So I would say like, well, again, think of the fact that this is your playground, right? You're going to validate, like, is this service actually doing what we expect it to do? And then from here, you would hand it over to your developers and they would integrate it into an application. Other option is full document translation. And again, try to think of it in like business applications where, again, you might have a scenario where you're going to upload like a Word document, PDF files into like a SharePoint, and then maybe like real-time translating, not just the sentence, but the full document, and creating a different version out of that. So what we can do is pretty much the same. So I got a little sample document that I'm going to upload. And somebody in chat asked for Italian, so we're going to do that one. And thanks for participating. I like to use examples from the audience. So now it's producing the outcome. And it should be a little description that I grabbed from the Azure AI translator documentation portal, where it's now explaining, like, this is what the AI translator service is doing. You can interact with an API and so on and so on. So if you speak Italian, I would say, please let me know if you're like satisfied with the way it's going to translate all this. Other example that I talked about is custom translator. So again, up till now, we had what I would call the traditional translation, like the expected translation engine, right? Where, again, it's recognizing more than 100 languages and it's doing a pretty good job. But every now and then, you might have so specific language based on, again, IT industry could be a good example, where we have specific technical domain terms, which might be like maybe not even literally translated. Like one funny example I remember is like Microsoft Fabric, where it points to that database data management portal, where if you look at Fabric as the English word and you're going to translate it to different languages, then all of a sudden Microsoft Fabric turns into like a cloth or something that you would put on your bed, like a bed sheet or something. So pretty fun depending on the language you're going to use, which obviously is not something you want in like a business context. It's super hilarious during demos, but in a business context, you want to make sure that some terminology is actually retained, or at least it's picking up the proper like native language term for that device, like I tried with the hard drive. So what you can do in that case is creating your own custom translator. So there's a few different use cases here. So again, technical terms, or I would say business terms, like even in the legal domain, where you got legal text, it happens every now and then that some of those terms, like terminology, needs to be retained. Where now you don't really want them to get translated into the different language, but you want to make sure that the terminology remains the same. So what you can do here, and I don't have the full demo because we don't really have the time to walk through all this, but the starting point is uploading your documents. So you would create a document set. That's what I did here. And what I grabbed here is some legal text, like some constitution information from like France, and then also picking up the English version. So the nice thing here is that now you're not relying on the translation engine, but you're going to provide the different source documents using each and every different language you want to use. So you're now feeding information into the engine. And from there, and that's the part that I don't really have, but just wanted to share the capability, you're going to train your model. So step one, upload source documents in all the different languages that you want to use it in. And then from there, you're going to train the model. And then eventually you're going to test the model. And then you're going to publish it, meaning that now you're not relying on the built-in Azure AI Translate engine capabilities, but you're going to use your custom language model out of that. Now showing you what this looks like from an actual application. And again, I'm not scaring you away if you go like, well, but I'm not a developer. You don't need to be a developer if you're going through that AI 900 certification, right? But just showing you on the last demo here, how can I use this AI Foundry backend into my actual application? So remember, the starting point is deploying the service, testing it out using the playground, and then obviously building your app code. Now, what is important here, you need to point at your MicrosoftTranslator.com service. That's that endpoint parameter that I talked about before. Next to that, it's going to ask you for your service key, like the super secret password, you could say, to allow you to interact with the service, and also the service region. So when you deploy the service, Priyanka showed you, I showed you, you need to pick a specific Azure region where that service is available, and you're just going to point to it in your app settings code, which obviously I'm not going to show you because we're not really, I would say, allowing you to see any of the secrets, but that's really what you're going to do. And then from there, you're going to run your app. So what I'm doing here is pick up some sample data in the review folder. It's like a hotel website where customers are providing feedback after their stay, where it could be positive, could be negative, in obviously different languages. And then you would run the little app. So it's a little .NET example here. I did .NET run, and what it's going to read out is the customer feedback. And obviously for now, we want to read out what language are we detecting. Super easy business use case where you get feedback from your customers, maybe your peers. You don't always speak their native language. Typically, at least in a vacation setup, I would say, you provide feedback in your own language. And from there, maybe your hotel services department or customer service department wants to get an impression about your vacation stay. And then maybe providing some feedback, again, in a different language. That's like one easy scenario. So I hope with that, you got a pretty good idea about what our Azure AI and our AI Foundry Management Portal Translator service can do. So I'm going to wrap it up. We've got a couple of minutes to go, sharing the last few insights. So what we did in this session is touching on two amazing Azure AI / Azure AI Foundry capabilities. First one by Priyanka, speech fundamentals, how to use speech, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, the integration in the browser, which I think was a pretty cool one. By the way, there's also the translation option in the browser. We might try and bring that in all the way at the end if I still get a minute left to show you, but if not, go to any web page, right-click on the page, and in that little pop-up menu in the Edge browser, you're going to find that translation option, and it's real-time translating it. So actually pretty cool. And that's also the part that I talked about, right? Anything around the translation service. More important is that our series here in Women in Azure AI is not finished yet. We've got a few more sessions coming up, so we would like to invite you, stay with us for a couple of more sessions where we're going to touch on different Azure services. So you got the QR tag here, you got the link on screen. I would assume that most of you are not showing up for the first time, so I assume you're already familiar with it, but that's really your go-to place to keep tabs on what's actually happening out of these series. If you want to stay in touch, I asked for that at the start of the session when we introduced ourselves. Feel free to do that. Already thanking our amazing moderators in the background as well. We had Laura, we had Camila, we had Jean-Joseph. And if you want to stay in touch, if you want to thank them for the great support they provided based on all the questions showing up on the YouTube channel, I would say just let them know. Thank you so much for helping, because without them, it would be a lot harder for us to present and keep an eye on the chat, and then obviously providing the answers while presenting. Not always that obvious, so pretty good service there. Last little piece here is little invite for the next session, which can happen in already 2 days from now, where we're continuing our Azure AI fundamentals. 2 other presenters touching this time on knowledge mining and document intelligence, allowing you to bring in your own documents and then creating some sort of a Q&A-like scenario where you can start asking questions about the document, and then document intelligence, allowing you to use what, I've been around for a while, what we used to call OCR recognition, like scanning a document and then literally analyzing the snippet of text, like a automated, invoicing, moving information from a document into some database backend could be one of the examples. Pretty cool stuff. I would really encourage you to, again, join us for one of the other Women in AI sessions. And with that, I'm going to nicely thank, first of all, everyone here on the call for joining us, because without an audience, there's no need for presenters. I hope you enjoyed it. And also going to thank Priyanka as my co-presenter. Thanks for the amazing kickoff, introducing AI Foundry and speech technology, because that made my part a little bit easier. And thanks to the Reactor team to actually organize all this and allowing us to present and share our knowledge. With that, I'm going to close out. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again in any of our future sessions. Thank you for now. Stay safe, healthy, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Have a good rest of the day, evening, night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Peter.